There is a supernatural world, and sometimes it manifests to people like you and me. You hear stories about the supernatural and so much more right here on Supernatural Confrontations. Folks, how about this? Noble Gold, one of the sponsors of our show, has just been picked by Consumer Affairs, the rating agency, as the overall #1 gold IRA company in the United States. How about them apples? Talk to the team today if you're thinking about precious metals. And if you're quick, they're giving away an incredible 1/10 of an ounce American Eagle gold-proof coin with every qualifying IRA or 401k rollover. Folks, you can't go wrong with Noble Gold. Call the team now, 877-646-5347. That's 876-646-5347. Or to find out more, please visit noblegoldinvestments.com. Once again, noblegoldinvestments.com. So I'm here with Carol, and you know, your father and mother had a missionary ministry. They went all over the world, and of course they carted you along with them, you and your younger brother, which was an incredible experience. But something happened out of the ordinary while you were in South Africa, I believe. Now, we were over your house at dinner a couple of nights ago, and you shared the story with me, and I asked you, wow, can you come on the record? And of course, you were gracious enough to say yes, and here you are. So something happens. Just tell us give us as much time as you want, all the backstory you need. Go for it.
Great. Thank you, LA. I appreciate it. Now, I'm going to share a story that happened in 1976. It was the summer after my freshman year in college. The location was South Africa, and we traveled from Durban to Cape Town. Now, for many years, my family had traveled 3 to 4 months all together a year. And this was no different. This trip was my mom, my dad, my younger brother, and myself. We went to South Africa for 3 months, and the ministry leader had set up the itinerary and told us where we're supposed to be, and we were following that. My dad, my mom, and myself all were speaking at different venues during that time, and my younger brother was running the product table. It was quite a family affair. We saw such amazing things in South Africa. The Christian community was so hungry for everything that God had for them. And there was people getting touched, getting emotionally healed, physically healed, breaking racial barriers. I mean, it was one of the most fabulous things that we had experienced in our time traveling. Now, we also saw, obviously, signs of racial tension in the country. Apartheid had not been abolished, so all of the races were in their separate parts of the city, separate areas. Now, one day we were ministering in an outlying town, and the people were very interested always with where we were going to go next. Where was our next stop? And we told them about our next stop, and they said, oh my goodness, you can go there, but never travel through the Transkei, especially at night. Now, they went into great detail, all of the horrible things that happen at night in the Transkei. So we finished our night meeting, prayed for a lot of people, and of course, it was very late at that point. Now, we couldn't figure out from the maps how to get to the other route that wasn't going through the Transkei. So we tool off going through the Transkei, and we noticed there is not one bit of light. It's the bush. There's not even fire pits. It is completely black. And we see a lot of people walking on the road in both directions, no sidewalks. And we're driving through, trying not to hit anybody. And we get a flat tire, back tire, passenger side of our car, pull over. And my dad gets out to look at it. And my mom and I, like good women, we lock the doors. Lock my dad out. He opens a trunk. We have 9 suitcases with 3 months worth of supplies, product, all of that. He takes them all out in a very vulnerable situation and puts them all behind the car, takes out, he finds the spare tire, realizes there is no jack. The jack is missing from the car. I lost hope of a car coming by because we hadn't seen one yet. Well, this tiny little Fiat looking car comes by, stops on the other side of the street, and the 4 biggest men I have ever seen. I don't even know how they fit in there, but they come.
I got to stop you right there. How wide is this highway? Is it asphalt? Is it dirt? What is it?
It's asphalt. It's just a 2-lane road.
It's a 2-lane road.
2-lane road. Yeah. And there's dirt, dirt shoulders.
On the sides.
But there's people walking on the road as well. So they get out, they come over, and they are not the size or the look of the people in the area. I knew they weren't from there. They are huge, they're big, and they're well dressed. So they come up and they ask my dad if they could help.
In English?
In English.
Now, did you hear an accent when they did that?
I was in the car. I was locked in the car. I don't know if I will have to ask him that. I'm not sure. But of course he said, you can help. The 3 men got on the back of the car with the 3 of us still in the car, and they lifted the car up with their hands, and the 4th one put on the tire. It was amazing. And they put the car down. My dad says, thank you, and they take off. So he puts the suitcases back in the car. We unlock the doors so he could get back in. And we felt the presence of the Lord so strong in the car for hours. It was just like something heavenly had happened. Now, people could argue they were good Samaritans, but I really felt that they were angels called down to protect us in a time when we were in a very vulnerable situation.
Let me ask you this. What kind of car were you guys driving?
It wasn't a big Honda sedan, but it was kind of a car like that. And a sedan low to the ground, older. Someone kind of gave it to us for the summer. So
any idea what the weight of that might have been?
No, but it was, a medium-sized sedan that you could fit 9 suitcases in the trunk. So back then the cars were heavier. I have to say.
So, I mean, what did they look like?
They appeared to be black, very well, like I said, well-groomed, well-dressed, and huge.
Now, when how big is your dad? How tall is he? He's around my height, isn't he?
Yeah.
Feet?
Yeah, he's a medium-sized man. Yeah,
medium build.
Yeah.
And then how big were these guys?
They look like, maybe football players. If they were just big and massive, but their whole bodies were big. And they all look kind of like each other. It was interesting. Very interesting. And we had not seen that car in South Africa, that kind of car. I mean, everything about it was incredibly unique to us.
So when they got out of the car, and you're kind of scratching your head, how did they fit in the car? Because a Fiat is a really small automobile. So what was that like? Did you watch them go back into the car? Yeah, at the circus, they open this little car and all these clowns keep coming out. It kind of felt like that because I don't even know. I don't even know how they got out or how they got in. But yeah, they climbed back in the car and drove off. I called your dad recently because we discussed this at your house over dinner. What were his thoughts on it so many years ago? Reflecting now, what were his thoughts? Well, he corrected a few pieces of the story, and he said we've always called them our angels, and that was his comment of that situation. I mean, it's just amazing, and it's once again, as Paul tells us, that some of you have entertained angels unawares, and that's what certainly this story sounds like it. And I just love. I think God has a sense of humor. 4 football players in a Fiat. What's wrong with it? I mean, has a circus feel to it. Yeah. I mean, it really does. It's like Well, maybe this will give it away. Well, maybe not. You know, it's just, it's amazing. Carol, I'll give you the last word, and thanks for coming on the record. Appreciate it.
Thank you. The last word would be, you know, be aware of what's happening and who's around you and what's going on, and just know that God is there with protection, and he does hear our prayer, even when we do things that maybe aren't the wisest thing in the world. He is there for us, and he will send his angels to intervene.
Very cool. Thanks so much for coming on the record. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Folks, there is a supernatural world. We read about it every single time we pick up our Bible. And guess what? Even the genealogies are supernatural because they point to the Messiah. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. The supernatural world, in my opinion, is more real than the natural world. We'll have another show for you soon. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, there is a supernatural world, and sometimes it manifests to people like you and me. If you have a supernatural encounter, a supernatural confrontation, please email me, supernatural@lamarzulli.net. supernatural@lamarzulli.net. Thanks so much for watching.